What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about finishing RTK, recognition RTK, the first 1,000 cards that is recommended in MIA in terms of Japanese. I want to talk about my thoughts, and then also, man, it's been a while now, like maybe a week or so ago. It's been right at about a week. I left the thing on my community tab, and I just said, hey, if you have any questions about this, let me know, and I will try to answer. That way I know a little bit more of what to go into when I talk about it, and I'm just going to go down and just read the questions. But first and foremost, I want to say I am really happy that I went through RTK. I know there's a lot of back and forth on whether or not it's good, whether or not it's bad, is it a waste of time. I really do think there's a lot of benefit to it, mainly of it introducing you to the kanji to where it looks more than just something of just squiggly lines. I mean, like, the one thing that I will say is I'm forever indebted to RTK because it taught me how to break down the kanji. Now, I'm sure there's other methods of going about doing that, but I just really like the simplicity of it. Having it on my phone on Anki constantly, you know, if I'm standing in line at a grocery store and I need to pop the phone out because I've got 10 seconds, I can look at a kanji or two and whatever, and I really think that that is a huge benefit. Now, so I did finish. I did finish it. I'm answering the mature cards at about 88%, which is pretty good. I do expect that to plummet. I do find a little bit of fault with it because there are some cards that I can recognize, you know, if I'm reading or like looking up vocabulary, even in a vocabulary deck or the Tango deck, and I see them and I know what it means. But when I see the kanji in isolation, I don't necessarily recognize the English counterpart that RTK has taught. But I also don't think that that's the point of RTK. I think the point of RTK is to get you introduced to the kanji. It gives you the general meaning, and that's perfectly fine. I have used that to help me understand other meanings, but I don't think it's necessarily to be like, hey, this is this no matter what. It's more so to get you to learn how to break down the kanji, and it did that fantastically. So I do have about 170 cards suspended right now, some of which are cards that I already know, some of which are cards that I continuously fail, even though I recognize them in the wild, so to speak, which is I'm not overly concerned about. And then, of course, I remember I posted on my Twitter and somebody was like, oh man, isn't almost 200 cards suspended? Isn't that super crazy? I think it was 150 or something like that. And I said, well, it is. The 150 is a lot of cards. But if you take out the fact that you're learning 1,000 kanji, learning 850 kanji is still a lot, and it's still more than the person who studied 0, or it's still more than the person who studied 20 cards into it, suspended 1 card, and then thought they couldn't do it. So I'm not concerned about the amount of cards that I've suspended. This was just to get me into it. RTK is not the end-all, be-all. And I am going to continue to review it, which there is a question about reviews, and I'll just get into that there. I will continue to review it, but it's not my main source of learning kanji. That'll be with Tango, and then, watching TV with subtitles, and that's where I'll start to pick stuff up. And it's to recognize more of what it means and more of what the picture is as a whole in terms of the reading versus, just in the individual kanji. The individual kanji, like, I want to be able to recognize it like I read English, right? You recognize the word. It's not that you're reading, like, for example, this first question, H-O-W, how. It's just you see that, and it's almost like the word how is a pictograph, and you understand that's how. You don't have to read the letters, and that's kind of how I want kanji to be. And I know that's long down the road. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I mean, it's really cool, and this is why I asked those questions, because I didn't really know what people wanted to know, so we're just going to jump into it right now. The first question is, how are you going to review the cards? And I'm not 100% sure what you're asking here, like in terms of like the process, but I'm just going to continue to review on Anki. I'm getting about 40 to 50 reps. What is going on with the lighting? Right, not sure what's going on there. Hopefully that wasn't going on for too long. But I'm not 100% sure in terms of what you're asking here. I am going to continue to review Anki just the way that it's meant to be reviewed on with RTK, I mean, and I will continue to do that for a while. Am I going to do it endlessly? Probably not. Am I going to add more cards to that RTK in terms of the past, the cards past that? I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to do there, but I'll just continue to do that. I'm getting like 40 or 50 cards, and that seems to be working good. It's not something I spend a ton of time on. It's just something that comes up. I'm not overly concerned if I miss the review or not. I mean, if I do, I do. If I don't, I don't. It's just I'm familiar with them now, so I'm not putting a lot of stake in it now that I'm finished. I am going to continue to review them on Anki, but that's it. Next question is, what's the next goal? Learn lots of vocabulary through immersion or improve grammar, etc. Also, do you think you'll achieve the goal like with flashcard set or specific book or website. And so my goal going forward in terms of past RTK is I was going to do sentence mining, and I am sentence mining to an extent, but I still have such a lack of vocabulary that it's really hard for me to get target one sentences, and that is a little bit frustrating. So what I'm going to do for now is do Tango. I'm still sentence mining, but I'm not putting as much pressure of trying to get 10 cards a day. I'm just getting what I can, and then trying to fill in the gaps with Tango. And that way, as I'm learning with Tango, I'm adding vocabulary, and then I can also do stuff in line with sentence mining, so I have these target one sentences. Also, I am using Native Shark as of right now. That seems to be working really well. All the sentences they teach are target one, and that's also giving me additional vocabulary that I can then use to sentence mine from what I'm watching. In terms of improving grammar, I do watch Cure Dolly videos occasionally, not super often. I'm on listen like 12 of the like 81 video series on like beginner grammar or whatever, and I will continue to do that. It's something I would like to get better at, but you know, hopefully it'll just come in time, and I'll just kind of slowly get through it. Or maybe I'll just take a weekend one time and just burn through a grammar guide. I don't know, but that's it as of right now. In terms of how do you think you'll achieve the goal? How do you think you'll achieve the goal, like with flashcard set or specific book or website? Oh, I mean, hopefully I'll achieve it. I mean, hopefully I'll do what I set out to do. What are your general thoughts on it? I did answer that. My general thoughts on RTK, I think it's very good. I think that it introduces you to the kanji. It makes you look at kanji as, you know, not just a bunch of scribbly lines, so I think that's cool. Is it worth missing 3 months of immersion or less immersion to complete it? Well, you shouldn't miss immersion while doing this. I did RTK when I could only do RTK. If I, again, was standing in line at a grocery store, if I was on lunch at work, I would do that because my cell phone service isn't great basically anywhere that I ever go, but like specifically when I'm at work. So I do RTK there, and that's just what I do. Now, depending on how many cards you're doing a day, it could take upwards of 30 minutes. And as long as you're immersing for a decent amount of time, I don't really see what it matters in terms of like how much you're missing. Like if you're only allotted 30 minutes to immerse, and then you've got to decide between doing Anki for RTK or immersing, I would say probably immerse, but hopefully if you're doing this, you have more time to spend on that anyway than 30 minutes a day, because you would also have to be adding vocabulary and stuff like that in. So yeah, I definitely think RTK is worth it, again, because it has taught. There are a lot of characters I recognize while reading that comes directly from that, and that I put together with, oh, okay, blah blah, this, okay, yeah, that's that. I don't know. So I definitely think it's worth it. How do you remember the kanji the quickest? Because it takes me 10 minutes to remember one. I don't really stress it. Basically, the way that I go through my reviews are, it pops up, I'll read the story, do the whole thing. If I'll fill it or put like 10 minutes, and like I won't immediately pass it. I'll either fill it. Basically, I won't fill it like with the red anymore. I'll fill it with the green. Like it'll say 10 minutes, so it'll show you again in 10 minutes. And then when it pops back up, I'll try to remember it. If the story didn't work, I'll try to think of another way to make a story that works for me. If I don't remember it, I'll continue failing it until I remember it. And then the next day when it comes up, if I don't remember it again, I'll just fail it. And just over the course of doing that for a couple of days, stuff just sticks because you've seen it a ton. So I definitely wouldn't sit there and just stare at it for 10 minutes. Just let the other stuff come up, right? Like just let it come up, expose yourself to tons of stuff, and eventually you'll remember it. If it's not meant to be, you won't remember it. I've got a bunch of suspended cards, although some of them are like little tips and tricks from the deck, like little note cards about that and stuff like that. But like, you know, I'm not overly concerned in terms of how much time I just kind of go with it, and that seems to work for me. How long will you keep reviewing the RTK deck? That's I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure, really. Hopefully not too long. I don't want to spend too long on it, just because. Okay, it's something with the light. Okay, so yeah, so hopefully not too long, and what I mean by that is I'm hoping that I get enough immersion to where I don't have to think about it, and I don't have to be like, oh man, I've got to do my RTK because I didn't see any kanji at all. Because realistically, what I'm hoping happens is during immersion and I'm reading subtitles, I just hope that I see these characters, and that's how I kind of learn the characters in more depth. That is ultimately my goal, so we will see if that happens. But yeah, in terms of before that, I mean, I'll probably keep reviewing it for probably several months because it doesn't really take me a lot of time. I think reviewing all my cards today took me 8 minutes, so I can do that no problem. So we'll see as it keeps going on, but I'll probably keep going for a while. Let me see. Did you just do the 1000 in the book or a modified 1000 based on frequency? I did the deck that Matt recommends on the Mass Immersion Approach website, which you can get a link to that down below. But yeah, I do that card. I started with the original Lazy Kanji, and they got rid of that into this Recognition RTK. So it's actually taken me longer to finish this because I was about 500 cards in. They released this new deck. I was like, I want that. So I deleted that, and then I got these new cards. So, but that is what I do. I do that. I'm not sure, and it's not the first 1000 in the Heisig book. It is, I think, it takes just the 1000 most common of the 2200 most common from the Heisig book. With 1000 kanji, when learning words, if there's an unknown kanji inside a word, will you make a story for that character or learn it through brute force? Yeah, my plan and the way that I've remembered stuff so far is simply by doing just almost memorizing them as character blocks in terms of what they are. I'm trying to think of an example right now. For example, the character for airplane, which I don't know, I couldn't show you, but maybe I can put it on the screen right here. You know, I just know it based on what it looks like, those three characters together. There's a character that I don't think that I know in that. Like there's a character that maybe I've seen, maybe I don't remember, but you know, it's just, I see it as a block and that's what it is. And that's just what I do. It's, you know, okay, cool, hikoki. Okay, cool, awesome, got it, no problem. And that's probably what I'll do. I'm not gonna go out of my way to make stories about stuff as much as just trying to learn the character in its natural way, which I'm sure, I guess Japanese people really go through that, but like that, it's worked so far, and that's what I'm gonna continue to do. So yeah, hopefully that answers everybody's questions. I hope I didn't leave anything out. I mean, that's all the questions from this post that I made, so hopefully, you know, you guys have all the information that you need there. This is going to be somewhat of a decent lengthy video, and I hope that it gives you all kinds of stuff. Like I said, just to summarize, I would absolutely do RTK again if starting over. It did a lot of really, really good stuff for me. I'm glad this chapter in my MIA journey is done. I am really glad it's done because now I can spend more time on vocabulary building and things like that. And I think that that's going to be beneficial. But I also think it's one of those building blocks. Having done RTK, it's not going to be as much of a problem because I'm going to be able to recognize some kanji in the words that I'm learning. So absolutely would do again. I think it's great and I really enjoy what it's done. But I'm definitely glad it's over. So I do want to say thank you to my Patreons who sponsor all of these videos, which I will pop on the screen right here. If you want to become a Patreon, you can go over to my Patreon page at patreon.com/SeaboltSpeaks, where I've got some perks. You can check it out and whatnot. So thank you to everybody for that. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all in the next video.